In an era of TikTok attention spans and 90-minute thrillers, Aditya Dhar has done something audacious. He hasn't just released a sequel, he has delivered a 4-hour saga that demands your absolute presence. To understand Dhurandhar 2 The Revenge, you first have to understand its structure. This isn't a traditional part 2 that stands alone. It is quite literally the second act of massive singular story. If Dhurandhar Part 1 was the slow burn fuse, The Revenge is the inevitable explosive blast. The film shines in nearly every department, firing on all cylinders and occasionally finding a fifth gear we didn't know existed. Most sequels struggle to justify their existence, but here the groundwork laid in the first film pays off almost immediately. Within the first hour, the nagging questions we had are answered, clearing the deck for what is essentially a non-stop descent into the heart of spy's darkness. Let's talk about that opening. Indian cinema has seen its fair share of opening sequences, but the introduction of Jaskirat Singh Rangi is top-tier filmmaking. It is a masterclass in efficiency. Even though we spend a relatively short amount of time with Jaskirat before tragedy strikes, the connection is instantaneous. Why does it work? It's not just the writing, it's the sensory assault. The music doesn't just play, it thumps in your chest. The action choreography is stripped of filmy fluff and replaced with a brutal, visceral rawness. The editing is frantic yet precise, designed to make you feel the characters' rising adrenaline and righteous fury. While I personally wish we had 10 more minutes to breathe with Jaskirat to make the emotional blow even heavier, the sheer technical brilliance of this sequence makes you an adrenaline junkie from the jump. It sets a bar so high that it ironically becomes one of the film's biggest challenges to overcome later on. We need to have a serious conversation about Ranveer Singh. He is without a doubt the finest actor of his generation. For years we have seen him disappear into roles. The feral energy of Khiljit, the regal weight of Baji Rao, the uncanny transformation into Kapil Dev. But as Jaskirat Singh Rangi aka Hamza Ali Mazari, he reaches a new level of maturity. This isn't a loud performance. In a 4-hour epic full of explosions, Ranveer chooses to act through his eyes. He communicates the weight of the weight loss, the muscle gain, and the psychological toll of the mission without ever needing to scream for attention. It's a calculated, nuanced performance that deserves international recognition. There is a specific scene where his wife confronts him. It's a quiet moment in a loud movie. He tells her he's going to kill them all. But he clarifies his stance. He isn't against a people, he's against an institutionalized evil. The way the scene is framed, trapping them in the intimacy of their domestic life while discussing global violence, is haunting. You feel his soul fracturing as he transforms from the rage-filled Jaskirat to the balanced, hyper-focused Hamza. If part 1 was about the setup, part 2 is about the consequences. This film is drenched in blood and gore. It's action-packed to the point where at times I felt physically numb. However, there is a narrative cost to this. One of the most poignant moments involves Hamza having to kill someone to maintain his cover. Before the act, he downs a bottle of alcohol, a clear sign that a spy is losing his battle with a human. The victim tells Hamza about his hometown right before the end, and the subsequent flashback hits like a freight train. It's a reminder that in this world, there are no clean hands. The film concludes with a sequence featuring Ranveer in a turban that I won't spoil, but I will say this: it captures the lonely, heavy essence of being a spy in a single frame. It's a mature ending to a saga that could have easily opted for a cheap flag-waving climax. However, Dhurandhar 2 is not a flawless masterpiece. We have to address the elephant in the room, the antagonist. In part 1, Akshaye Khanna's Rahman Dakat was a revelation. He had an aura, a menacing, quiet threat that made your skin crawl. Arjun Rampal's Major Iqbal, unfortunately, doesn't fill those shoes. Even though he seemed more threatening in the first film during the 2611 or torture sequences, here he feels underwhelming. The final confrontation between Hamza and Iqbal drags on for too long and lacks the badass payoff the film's length deserves. None of the secondary villains have that iconic menacing energy that made first part so memorable. There is also a pacing issue in the middle. The lyric gang war montage feels like it belongs in a different edit. It goes on, taking away precious time that could have been used to further flesh out Jaskirat's journey. I also found the placement of the training montage a bit jarring. I would have preferred it at the beginning to build the character's resolve rather than at the end. And yes, I missed the dialogue bazi. Part 1 gave us lines like Rahman Daket ki di hui maut badi kasai numa hoti hai. This film trades those iconic quips for more action, which occasionally makes the experience feel a bit monotonous. Where the film wins back the audience is in its shock factor. Aditya Dhar delivers some of the best twists in recent Indian cinema. The theatre I was in absolutely erupted during the Rakesh Bedi sequence. It was easily the most hooted moment of the night. The film also incorporates real-world footage, including appearances by our Prime Minister, which sparked a level of crowd energy I haven't seen in years. This film isn't afraid to be political. It touches on polarizing subjects like demonetization, and depending on your political leanings, you'll either see it as a masterstroke or a bold provocation. One thing I found refreshing was the portrayal of the terrorist Daud Ibrahim as Joker. For decades, Bollywood has accidentally or intentionally glamorized the underworld Don. Seeing him portrayed as a pathetic, laughable figure was a welcome change of pace. Is Dhurandhar 2 The Revenge a masterpiece? Not quite. It's a bit too long, the villain is a bit too weak, and it lacks some of the lyrical dialogues of its predecessor. But it is a technical landmark. It is a rewatch gold type of film, the kind of movie you need to see twice just to unpack the layers of Ranveer's performance and the intricacies of the plot. Aditya Dhar is a brave filmmaker. In a landscape of safe movies, he has made something that is technically superior and emotionally exhausting. It's a film that isn't against a country or a community, but a visceral scream against evil. My advice: go for the career best performance of Ranveer Singh. What he has done here will be the benchmark for the next decade of Indian acting. Just make sure you use the restroom before the lights go down. It's a long ride, but it's one worth taking.